In the opening scene, a group of soldiers known as the Alpha Omega Squad are searching through the woods to hunt down apes and find their leader, Caesar. The battalion also has apes in their service, whom they call donkeys. As the group finds an ape village, they start shooting with heavy firearms. One of the apes escapes to warn the others and call for backup. We then see a massive army on horseback arriving at this scene with handmade smoke bombs to block the humans' vision and kill them by throwing spears at them. Most of the battalion gets killed and the remaining soldiers are captured and taken to Caesar. Caesar arrives and orders the 4 soldiers to be released with a message to the colonel that he did not start the war and that he desires peace between humans and the apes. He orders his albino Winter to take the traitor gorilla Red into custody to answer for crimes against his own kind, but as Caesar releases the humans, Red escapes. In the next scene, the apes are back at their sanctuary. Caesar's eldest son, Blue Eyes, and Rocket return from a journey to find a safe haven for the apes, since the woods are no longer safe with the ongoing human attacks. Blue Eyes also has a girlfriend now. Her name is Lei. She's kind of an important character, so remember her. Blue Eyes and Rocket have found an oasis across the desert, far from the woods, with resources making it the perfect habitat for the ape clan. A scared Winter suggests they should leave immediately. As he's making a scene, Caesar calms him down with his badassery and says they are not prepared to leave because they must find a safe way out of the woods. At night, when everyone's asleep, Caesar notices soldiers infiltrating the sanctuary. He tells his son to protect his family and goes to warn the others. Winter cannot be found and Luca believes that Winter has betrayed them out of fear. Caesar then runs into Rocket, who has taken down a soldier. From the soldier's walkie-talkie, they hear the colonel saying he has killed the leader. Hearing this, Caesar rushes back to his family, only to find them dead, killed by the colonel. The colonel shoots at Caesar, but has to escape as the other apes arrive at the scene. Fortunately, Caesar's youngest son, Cornelius, has survived. The next day, everyone is prepared to leave. Caesar leaves his son with Lake and informs them he won't be joining them. Instead, he's going after the colonel. He says that when the soldiers see him, he will make a good distraction and give the apes a better chance of getting out of the woods. As he's on his way, his closest friends, Luca, Rocket, and Morris, follow him, saying they won't let him go alone, so they continue the quest together. They arrive at an abandoned small village. As they are searching the area, they run into a human who tries to reach for his gun but is shot dead by Caesar. As the group searches through the house, they discover the soldier's daughter. Morris befriends the girl, giving her a small rag doll, but notices she can't speak and has a nosebleed. Morris insists they take her with them as she won't survive on her own. In the next scene, the group finds a soldier camp and sees Winter among them. At night, they corner him in a tent where he confesses to betraying them. As soldiers walk around the tent and Winter wants to shout to warn them, he is taken down and Caesar chokes him to his demise. The next day, as soldiers are leaving, the group follows them and discovers some soldiers shot and left for dead. One of the shot soldiers is still alive, but has a nosebleed and cannot speak. Sound familiar? Yes, the virus is evolving. Just then, a mysterious figure steals one of the horses, and the group pursues him to an abandoned house, where the figure reveals himself to be an ape, an evolved chimpanzee who used to live in the zoo. He shares that the colonel and his soldiers are stationed at the border, and reluctantly agrees to guide them there. As the group arrives at the border, they witness hundreds of apes held captive inside a former quarantine facility. While getting a closer look, Luca and Caesar get attacked by 2 soldiers. Luca is badly injured as he saves Caesar and dies in a deeply emotional scene. Morris suggests they should halt before losing another friend, but an angered Caesar continues his quest for revenge alone and orders the rest of the group not to follow him. As he gets closer to the camp, he realizes that the captured apes are from his own clan. He gets knocked out and taken to the colonel. After some chit-chat, he's escorted to the cages where all the other apes are being held, including his son and Lake. The next day, soldiers take the apes to use them as labor force since they are building a wall. It turns out there is another group of soldiers who are enemies of the colonel and are expected to attack the base anytime soon. The apes are not fed and our monkey man is not happy. He stands up to the soldiers as they are whipping one of the apes. All of a sudden, all the apes back their leader and stop working, so the colonel holds him at gunpoint, demanding his submission, and starts counting down as Lake picks up a stone. Kiss, kiss, aww. She asks everyone to get back to work to save Caesar. The colonel, not wanting any more protests, commands his men to tie Caesar to a cross in an effort to crush his spirit through torture and starvation. Witnessing this, Rocket and Morris decide to save him. They find a tunnel that leads inside the camp. Meanwhile, the little human girl walks into the camp without anyone spotting her. She goes to a barely alive Caesar and throws her doll at him, but Caesar is like, "What the f?" So she gives him some food and water. Now we're talking. As the soldiers get close to the cage and are about to spot her, Rocket creates a distraction by flexing his muscles and offering himself up. This gives the little girl time to escape. The next day, when the colonel gets Caesar out of his cage, he notices the rag doll, but doesn't pay much attention to it. At night, Morris and the other apes dig a hole in the tunnel that leads straight to the ape's cage. The apes then throw a piece of shit at a soldier who is standing guard. He gets furious and enters the cage, only to face another piece of shit thrown by Rocket. As the soldier faces him and is about to shoot, Morris takes him down from below and throws the keys back up. The apes free Caesar, and together they first release all the children and then the rest of the apes, but Caesar is not done, as he still hasn't avenged his family. Rocket tries to talk him out of it, but to no avail. Just then, the other group of humans attack the base and conflict begins. Amidst the chaos, Caesar climbs to the colonel's office and grabs his gun, but finds him sick on the bed with a nosebleed. He realizes the colonel cannot speak and spots the ragdoll that belonged to our sweet girl on the ground. The virus has gotten to him. As the colonel pleads with him to pull the trigger, Caesar chooses to set down his gun and walk away, leaving the colonel to his fate. Eventually, the colonel grabs the gun and takes his own life. During the battle between Alpha Omega and the other army, the escaping apes come under fire from Alpha Omega. Witnessing this, Caesar spots a gas tank just behind the walls. He picks up a grenade belt and heads there to blow it up. As the apes are getting massacred by the humans, Red has an epiphany. He witnesses Caesar running to the gas station to sacrifice himself for his kind without a second thought, but is shot with a crossbow by Preacher, one of the Alpha Omega militants he had set free in the beginning of the movie. Red saves Caesar's life by killing Preacher with a grenade launcher, but is executed by a soldier as a result. Caesar blows up the facility's fuel supplies, causing a massive explosion that wipes out Alpha Omega and allows the other army to win the battle. However, the explosion triggers an avalanche, burying the base and the rest of the human soldiers. Luckily, our protagonists are apes and they can climb really quickly. They survive by climbing up the trees nearby. In the ending scene, the remaining apes, the little girl, and Caesar resume their journey across the desert, finally reaching the oasis. While the other apes joyously celebrate their new home, Morris discovers Caesar's wound. Morris then speaks, telling Caesar that Cornelius will know what his father believed in and did to protect the apes. Caesar slowly and silently succumbs to his wound, ensuring the apes are safe before passing away. The movie ends with Morris mourning over his body and the death of the goat ape Caesar.